Hi, Mike here. I'm a running specialist based here in York, and I wanted to do a series of three short-ish videos on the three main problems that us runners have to tackle, that us runners struggle with. And those three, from a survey that I did, were injuries, how to run faster, and motivation. So in this first video, I want to cover injuries. So injuries, there is injury prevention and injury handling, I guess. So injury prevention, let's cover that first. Injury prevention, it's not always avoidable injuries because sometimes they can happen as an accident, in which case they're very frustrating. But then there's the types of injuries that you can prevent. And the most common way, or kind of three common ways of preventing injuries are: one, making sure you warm up properly. Your muscles are like elastic bands, yeah? So if you've got a cold elastic band and then suddenly you go out there and you try and stretch it, this elastic band may actually snap, okay? Just like your muscles. So the reason we do a warm-up before any kind of session is because we want to get heat into these muscles so that they're going to work better for us. It's not just because it fills up the time, it's because we want heat into them so that then your body is ready to go out there and do what you want it to do, i.e. go and run properly, as opposed to using the first mile or however many minutes to warm up. It gives you much better use of your time in terms of the training session itself. So that's number one, which is to warm up properly. Another way of preventing injuries is to look at how you're running. So look at your technique. There may be some underlying issue that causes the most common form of injury, which is overuse injuries. So overuse meaning a certain part of the body gets overused, overtired, or be it because there's another part of the body that's too tight, or another part of the body that's too weak. I know it's a little bit vague, but your body's it's definitely interlinked in terms of all of the systems that are connected together. And the body's two main priorities are to move and to breathe. And it will do whatever it takes to do those two things, because otherwise it's a survival instinct to breathe and to move. So even if your body isn't in the most optimum heat, shall we say, at the most optimum temperature, it's still going to move for you, but it may not be moving as optimally as possible. So when we're talking about your technique, we're also talking about how your body is in terms of tightness and weaknesses. So if you've got this combination of tight muscles and weak muscles, what happens is that you can get injuries caused by overuse. Specifically overuse of muscles that aren't designed to do what you're making them do, i.e. another muscle is too tight, so then another muscle has to take over, but that other muscle isn't designed to take that brunt. So because of the tightness of one, another has to take over, and then this one, which is potentially smaller or just not designed to take as much force as it's having to, then becomes injured because it's knackered. So looking at your technique and looking at your posture is another way of preventing injuries, in terms of knowing where you need to do some work. And the third way of reducing your susceptibility to injuries is to cool down and stretch. So if you think about that elastic band again, your elastic band being your muscles, during a typical run, they're stretching, they're being stretched and they're contracting, being stretched and contracting. And over the course of a run, that muscle is going to get shorter because you've been contracting it so much. So what you want to do is stretch it back out to its normal length. Otherwise, we get into that downward spiral of a tight muscle, therefore another one has to kick in, and then the one that kicks in gets injured, etc., etc. So 3 ways in quick summary. Warm up. Look at your technique when you are running. And thirdly, cool down and have a proper stretch. Thanks. And look out for video number 2 where I talk about how to run faster.